Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Linda Armstrong and Carlos Balasquide on this Friday, November the 2nd, 2018. It's 4 p.m. New York time. That's 1 p.m. Los Angeles time. And currently that would be 8 p.m. London time, although that will change after this weekend because we're doing our change from daylight savings to standard time over the weekend. So with that very complex introduction, hey guys, how you doing?
Hello. Yes, and in Indonesia, it's no, I'm just kidding. I don't know the time zone there.
Yeah, I know. You need to have your little
Hello,
Google
hello.
to type in. What time is it in Indonesia, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, we could probably do all 24 time zones, but that would probably take a half an hour, so we'll skip that for now.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's fun because not only are we broadcasting and live streaming live in the Law of Attraction Changed My Life Facebook group, but we're taking on a topic, which is kind of a fun topic that Linda, you kind of brought up indirectly last week, and we said, we should really turn that into a topic. So this week we're going to talk about this book that you mentioned by Lynne McTaggart. Here's what the book looks like, folks. Called The Power of Eight, and it looks like it's backwards on my screen, so maybe you're seeing it backwards too. I'm not sure.
It's correct.
It's correct? Oh, okay. All right. Well, then that's good. But Lynne McTaggart, The Power of Eight. And I just got a copy out of the library because I wanted to get it quickly. And I spent 15 minutes leading up to the podcast reading the introduction. I have to say, Linda, it's kind of an interesting concept that you have this investigative reporter who knew next to nothing about any of this woo-woo kind of stuff and was trying to apply scientific principles to, what actually works, what doesn't work, what can we prove, what can we not prove, and so forth. And apparently produced some results that scare the daylights out of her, which is kind of cool, really, when you think about it. But The Power of Eight, tell us what you know about The Power of Eight.
Well, the reason I brought up the book, I think, when we were speaking one time is because I know you like to have a little more science behind some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And so I know in her book, she does a lot of experiments.
Right.
Scientific experiments with people all over the globe tuning into a photograph or a video of something. It's kind of like a group prayer, but they have an intention towards whatever that thing is that they're looking at. And they're scientifically monitoring what is going on. So I don't need science because I experience this all the time. And there are many people, not just this woman who wrote this book, who speak to this, who have shown evidence of this, especially healers who work with groups. We see it all the time. So I guess mainly we want to talk about how the power of the group energy, magnifies, like exponentially. And so the healing can, I don't want to say that it's any stronger, but it really gathers up momentum with the group, right? So when you're doing these healings, and I've done group online healings, clearing limiting beliefs, patterns, programs, whatever it is that comes up before. And as a group, they really feel it pretty intensely. It depends on your sensitivity level. And for some who had never experienced like a feeling of energy coming through somewhere else in the world, it was like mind blowing for them because they're like, wow, I really do feel something going on here. Yeah.
And apparently it was not just used for healing, was it? I mean, it was used for a variety of different things, trying to just help people achieve goals or, make changes that they wanted to make in their lives or whatever.
Yeah, there have been other people who have done studies like this, and monks, and they did it through, they did it where a group of people came together and meditated on, say, the crime rate in some city somewhere, and while the group was together, the crime rate lowered.
Yeah, that's been replicated a lot of times.
So they've done all these kind of tests to see how it would, how it would play out, if they would have any effect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to compared to prayer. I think me and Walt here had mentioned that prior to you jumping on, but just anecdotally, if you listen for hundreds of years, they say things like children's prayers are the most powerful. And it's like, that makes a lot of sense if you think about it in this, way, because think about a child, they don't have those limiting beliefs. They don't know that things can't happen. Their imagination is, infinite. And so think about a group of children now manifest, or just, thinking about one thought. To me, that sounds like the most powerful, group you can probably have.
Yeah, probably. That's pretty cool.
I want to just say something. So Carlos, you haven't really like studied all this stuff like for years, and it just kind of like came into it, right?
Yeah,
Energy.
I it's kind of like I experienced it in my life. I'm very aware of these kinds of things, and then later, somebody introduced me to a book or something that kind of reaffirms what I had already known. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with a lot
That's
of
what I
stuff.
love about you, because I only know you now for two shows basically, and
Right.
and you hit on things that I don't think you even realize how deep you have an understanding of it, because you have a bigger understanding than your mind can comprehend. This is what I pick up from you, and that's
Yeah.
why you think you stumble on things or they just show up. They show up because they're supposed to, because it's part of you, because everything's a mirror.
Right. No,
And so your
yeah,
awareness
I feel
is
that.
showing you these things. Really, what you said about kids, they're so
Right.
pure. We come here and knowing how to manifest, without a doubt, we know we can, the world evolves around us, which it
Right.
does. But we lose it as we grow older from those
Yeah, people tell
well-meaning
you to
big
sit
people.
down, and you can't do this, or you can't do that, or you talk too much, or
Right.
you need to raise your hand. All these things and they're small, subtle things, right? And they're not malicious. They come from teachers and parents, and we're just trying to all fit in this society, right? And so we want to have these rules that everybody can kind of, you know, um, follow. But that I think, and it has to do, I studied this in being having studied entrepreneurship also. It's very similar. It's just all these different things that you may be open to kind of close off little by little as you get older, and then some people are able to kind of break through that again.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I'll give you a really simple example of that, because I lived in California for a while, for 7 years. And I was,
mhm,
I guess I was 26 maybe when I went out there. And I had my son by the time I was 30. And then I moved back to New Jersey, New York. I'm in both states. But
mhm,
I remember coming back to visit my family. I already had my son, and I'm already in that mode. And I'm already awakening to all this stuff. And I was at like a party, and one of the little kids went and touched something on a shelf. And everybody, not just the mom, the whole freaking room is like, don't touch, right? Like
right,
shouting at this little kid. And the little kid's just
right,
curious, right? And it's like
right,
trauma. That's trauma.
right,
Mm.
You take
right.
that with you.
Yeah, and you don't even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
simple as that. That right there is a program. Okay, hold on. It's not safe for me to explore things.
Mm.
What I
right,
want doesn't matter, because those big people over there said don't.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Very
true.
true.
That's what we get programmed with, and then we spend the rest of our lives in therapy or in law of attraction
Deep.
circles with coaches trying to figure out how to get rid of it.
Right, exactly. Deprogramming. Yeah, it's like
And
the
it, and it,
Matrix. Which one are you gonna pick? The blue pill or the red pill?
and it can all be deprogrammed. And yes, we do live in a matrix. I did a video on that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's all a program. We're just running programs, patterns and programs in the computer.
Right.
So we can just, wise up to it and then pull some out,
Yeah.
reprogram, which is what I think we might do next week in the next group.
That's true, yeah, because we thought about taking this concept that McTaggart explores in her book, The Power of Eight, and creating our own Power of Eight group. So we'll start putting out the message now, and we'll keep interspersing it into the podcast. But if you'd like to be a part of our group, we're going to put a group together. And next week, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to try to do. Maybe we'll try to help heal somebody, or we'll try to help improve somebody's life in some way or something. But we want to try to do the experiment and see what happens if we're all concentrating our attention and our energies on one person. So if you'd like to be a part of that, or maybe you want to be the subject of it, maybe you want to be the one that everybody's helping out, Either
Well,
way, either send us a note, or if you're currently listening in the Facebook group, the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group, just post something in the comments section. If you're listening to the podcast, depending on where you're listening to us, you can tweet us something. You can send us a note by Facebook. You can use the form on the website. Whatever way you want to reach out to us, reach out and say, hey, I'd like to be a part of the group that's going to try to be a group of 8 to influence somebody else's life for the better. And we're hoping that we can get enough people together to actually do the experiment next week. So,
okay,
Linda.
but I was actually thinking to do it in a different way, not to just focus on one person for one person's healing, the way
Okay.
they do it in the book.
Okay.
I thought each one who is there can be a part of it.
Sure.
So, because what I was thinking to do is in the group, work on a couple of, teach you how to muscle test for beliefs to know if you have it or not. And I had a list of beliefs because I thought we might be doing this week. So I'll go over the list of beliefs and I don't know if we can get to all of them within the hour. It depends on what happens as the energy starts flowing and as things are clearing, and I might be hearing messages about where to go. I trust that over my list of what we might do. So I'll just read my list of what I'm thinking that would be cool to do, especially for this group, is to test these beliefs.
Okay.
The law of attraction works for me.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many times I do that with people who actually work with law of attraction and they get no.
I believe that. Actually, I do believe that.
It's like the majority of people. I
Yeah.
can't even think of whoever had a yes. So anyway, we're going to clear that. It's easy for me to manifest my desires. Yes or no? You might think one thing, but when we muscle test, your system, your body will tell you the truth. Okay, I am good enough to get what I want. I believe in myself. I believe in my abilities. I know inspiration when it comes in. I trust that I am supported by the universe. I am open to receive and I am able to receive. So I actually started with like half of those, but they kind of built into that. So that's why I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but we'll start from the top and we'll take it from there and see what happens.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean,
Cool.
if you're going to get a group together, you might as well try to apply the energies in a variety of different ways and see what comes up. So I like the idea of everybody in the group being both a focuser of energy and a recipient of it, and seeing how all that plays out. That's good. That gives more incentive, I think, to people to actually be involved. And I was just checking the group, but we don't have anyone who's saying in the comments yes yet, but the lead administrator of the group, Jamie, has put up a great big heart, so she loves the topic. So we're on the right track here. We've pleased the lead administrator of the group.
Hey, Walt, I know you mentioned the website. I think we have some new listeners. You may want to.
That's a great idea. We should probably tell people how to
there.
find the website. Yes, so the website
Right.
is loatoday.net. And in fact,
Nice.
Carlos, I wanted to tell you something I've been thinking about doing.
Sure.
I created a special page because you mentioned recently that I think it was your parents or somebody that you knew had tried to subscribe to the podcast and run into difficulties that were unexpected. And they kind of got defeated by the whole process. And I was thinking about that, and I've been thinking about different ways to try to simplify it, and came up with the idea of a special subscribe page that I may even turn into the homepage, which basically just has 3 things on it: a subscribe using an iPhone, a subscribe using an Android, and a link back to the main homepage of the website. Figuring if we send
that'd be
people
great.
there, that will probably simplify the process somewhat.
Right.
So-
and we can then also put that link on the Instagram and on the Facebook.
Absolutely. Yeah.
One click away. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
trying to make it easy for you guys to subscribe and to get your daily dose here.
Exactly. No, I'm totally
we're
on board
working
with
on
that.
it.
And I love the fact that you put it in. You gave you put the idea in my head. I like the fact that you did that because I've actually been an advocate of the one-click approach for quite some time. But when it comes to me actually doing the work on LOA Today, did I apply it? No, I didn't. So it was nice to have the reminder. Like, thank you for reminding me. Like, oh yeah, hey, that's a good idea. Why didn't I do that? So thank you
It's
for
funny,
that.
knowing something doesn't necessarily mean that you'll take action on that thing.
Right.
That's
Exactly
pretty
right.
funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you have to be reminded or what have you. But yeah, so we're working on this stuff.
I love what you say too, because that's like walking your talk. You know, I mean, a lot of people can preach stuff, and then when it comes to themselves, they don't apply it as much.
Oh God,
Right.
yes. I
And I
can't
think
tell you.
that's your point, right? You said,
Absolutely.
oh, sorry, I was saying,
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked about something with a co-host on the show and then realized 3 weeks later that I don't apply it. I mean, we're talking like
Or
regular, normal behavior.
okay. Or maybe you just caught yourself that time, which is good because that's all it takes. You catch yourself, you have the awareness. You're like, oh, okay, I gotta start stepping into this.
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think that's the gentler way of saying it. So I appreciate your way of saying it.
Listen, you must always talk nice to yourself because your body holds everything you say within itself. You know Masamu Emoto's study, right? Impressions in water.
Yeah.
Carlos?
Hmm. Are you familiar with that
I'm
one?
not familiar, but
Oh, tell
no, I'm
him
not
about
actually,
it.
But
Okay, so he did. I'll do the really short version of it. You can look
yeah,
it
I
up
can.
on YouTube
Right.
and all that. But basically, he found that water is impressionable. So he would put drops of water on like a petri dish and freeze it under a microscope. But underneath the dishes might say peace, love, joy, hate, murder, Hitler, whatever. The good words, the loving words, the water would freeze into this beautiful snowflake. But then on the dishes that had the water with the not so nice words would have like these ugly, disgusting looking frozen shapes. And it just goes to show the influence that it had on your body. And then there's these other experiments you can do with like, he did these like 3 rice jars and
Mm-hmm.
you can label one with nice words, one you just ignore, and another one you put ugly stuff on, right, words, and you put it like in a neutral place, like maybe in your basement or somewhere, all in the same spot, but a little bit separated. Each day, I don't know why I'm coming up with this. I better just say it because it's coming through. You go, and I had people in my meditation groups do this, and they did it with their kids. They would go over to the jar with the rice. It's like rice and water is a mixture, and I'm sure if you watch a video, you'll find out exactly how to do it. And they would speak lovingly to that one. Then they would totally ignore this one in the middle, and then they would go and speak ugly words to the other one over there, right? So and there was a period of time. So the rice with the nice words, it did change, but it was just like a little yellowy looking, like not ugly or anything, just like discolored. The ones where you talked hateful stuff to it was all like brown and decrepit and like, looking like it's going bad, right? But the one that was ignored, the worst. The worst out of all 3 had no energy going to it, right? And that just really deteriorated. So it's a pretty interesting study. But basically the reason I'm saying all this is people beat yourself up all the time, right? Call yourself an idiot and all that kind of stuff. Don't do it. When you catch it, you're like, oh, you're not an idiot. All right, so you made a mistake. You can do better next time. No biggie, Soften the blow. And the more, after a while, you won't even talk down to yourself anymore because you'll just grow out of the habit just by having the awareness that you do it. Because
Right.
it affects you in a bad way, not in a good way. Because your cells your cells hold the programming.
Yeah, that's a sign. I mean, that's all rooted in science too. I think if you think, water's a conduit, right, of energy, and if you think about, people do this all the time. They talk to their plants, and their plants grow up and be, beautiful, and it's again anecdotal, but it's something that's been going on for years, hundreds of years, and so just thinking of things like that, and you don't want to amplify. We're mostly water, right?
That's it. I forgot to tell you that
70% water.
We're
So
mostly water.
right. So if now you're talking about an energy conduit, and you're going with negative energy, you don't want to amplify that. So that's definitely that's a good point.
Even that little tip for someone who's never heard it before could be life changing. Stop changing the way you change the story. Tell a different story.
Well, I think speaking of Tony Robbins, I think I did the last time. Speaking of those tapes that I got when I was 12, I still retain a lot from that. And one of the things was anchors. And you talked about trauma and things like that, where he was talking about For instance, let's say you were at a funeral or you had lost somebody, and every time that somebody kept coming and grabbing your shoulder, oh, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. So now that becomes an anchor, and years later somebody will grab your shoulder, and you'll feel down, you'll feel this negativity, and you don't know why. And it's these anchors, and so a lot of times, we have to break those anchors as well, and sometimes that negativity is or that going to that place is part of an anchor, and so sometimes we have to break that, and we can create new anchors. Next time that happens, we have an automatic positive thought instead of an automatic negative thought.
Yeah.
By the way, we have two comments so far to share. One, Satvir just saying hello. So hello, Satvir. And Harley said, what just to the point you guys were raising, that is so important to remember. Speak encouraging words, but too often it is easy to speak bad words about ourselves. So
Yep.
Harley's totally on board with what you guys are saying. And I am too. I appreciate, Linda. You gave me that nice, gentle way out. So thank you for that. I was just going to, I don't know, Carlos, if you caught the name of that researcher over in Japan who did those experiments with the water that got frozen.
Oh, yeah, it was Quasimodo? No, I didn't. No, it was something Moto, right?
You're
I
close.
I'll set you up for that one.
You're close. You're very close, actually. His last name is Emoto.
Masamuro Emoto.
Emoto. And I love his last name because of the similarity between emoto and emotions. So that's the way I remember it. Emoto and emotions, right?
Yeah.
That's a great way to remember.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's fascinating. And he did a whole book, or somebody wrote a book. I'm not sure if he wrote the book, but there's a whole book about all the studies that he did, and included pictures. All the photos are in there. Pictures. Yeah. I think you can actually find that online, too. I'm not sure. I haven't checked into that, but I think that they're all available online.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Just put his name in there. Also, there's also those other studies, and I can't think of anything in particular, but where they have like a speaker, and they put salt on it, like a pile of salt on the speaker, and then they play particular music. So like if it's classical music, it forms pretty shapes from the vibration of the music. Huh. And then you put heavy metal on, and it's like, yeah, that's what sounds. With the vibration through the frequency of the sound, the way the music comes through. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it's been done in lots of different ways, but the Emoto one to me is really important because I know that we carry the energy within ourselves. Mm-hmm. That is blocking us, and it needs to be released from our body. I mean, our body is the vehicle we travel the planet with, right?
Right.
We're spirit. We're just like temporarily in this body.
Now, Linda, you're all about energy. You're an energy life coach. You everything that you do is involved in energy, and you mentioned how you have not specifically done a lot of study of McTaggart's work, but you're just familiar with it because of your own work. So I'm curious to know, have you ever done anything similar to what she's done where you did groups of people focused on particular tasks all together to see what the result would be? Or have you done anything similar like that in your work?
Not in the way she speaks about it in the book, but in group, yeah. When I have a group come together, and maybe I'm doing group healing for whatever's coming up with the group, because a group never there's no coincidence that the three of us are somehow on this show. Like if some energy is supposed to come together, it'll come together. So sometimes you go to like a group meeting of something and you're like, oh God, I don't think I belong here. But if you're there, you belong there. There's something you have to contribute, and there's something you're going to get from this interaction. Energy comes together with a purpose. So, if I'm doing a group session, like I did one this morning, and actually we were picking cards to start with. From that, we started digging into some things that were going on in one person's life, which actually other people had a part of something like that happening as well. So then I can go in and do clearing around that. And it works for everybody. So I'll go
and we've talked about that. We've talked about that a bit because you did that one session for me and did some clearing with me. And so we kind of defined what clearing was all about in that. But let's reiterate that. What does it mean to say that you clear something? What is that?
You delete it from your system. Okay? So look at it like a computer. We're pushing the delete button. I'm just not good enough. Delete. let's reprogram it with, yeah, I am good enough. I value my talents and my gifts. I'm free to express them to the world. A lot of times people, it's not, well, especially healers, we have to do a lot of clearing around it's safe to be seen for our gifts and talents. Why? Can you guess?
Well, there's also probably a lot of
Because
pushback.
there's a lot of scrutiny and pushback, and
Well, going back many lifetimes, we're witches, right?
Well, sure, yeah.
Misunderstood, killed, burned at the stake, stoned,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I mean, so there's fear. If I let this out, I mean, you have a timeline, which supposedly all happens at the same time anyway, past, present, future. So there's these experiences that you're holding still in your system, right? We love the good stuff, but the bad stuff can get in the way. So you might want to get out there in a big way and share your talent, but there's some program saying, no, it's not safe. Remember you did that when you were in your 8th grade class and you spoke to the whole class and everybody laughed at you? It's not safe, right? So we want to find those things and release them. So the way I release them, I basically work through your body, depending on where I'm guided, and I have you really clear like vows, oaths, decisions, trauma, energetic ties, and you'll feel the release in your body. But we're not going to do a show on what I do, right? We already have one of those.
We
can
do.
Look it up. So I don't want to go off on that tangent. But did I kind of answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. And you also brought up a couple of interesting points. First of all, you alluded earlier to the fact that there are so many people who, if you do the muscle testing with them and they're already law of attraction devotees, you find that their bodies don't actually believe, right? Or I'm not quite sure how you phrased it, but the gist of it is that the truth of the matter is deep down they really do doubt, which I didn't surprise me in the least. I wouldn't be surprised if I test that way too, simply because.
You want to
What's that?
You want to test it right now? You want to test it right now?
Okay, well, let me finish my thought first, and that way we'll have something to test against. But just because there are so many stories of people who try to manifest things and they don't manifest, and it creates doubt, and it creates concern, and it creates it's doubt. It's just I just doubt that it's going to happen. So to me, it's not surprising at all. There are going to be so many people who deep down are not going to completely believe. It makes total sense to me. But sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, coach me through a test. Let's find out.
I just want to say the tricky thing about that is, because I know there's some things that I've been wanting to manifest and that haven't come yet, and I know how to manifest. So you're like, well, then you can get into all that heavy energy about, wow, why isn't this happening, and like wreck your brain. Sometimes it's just not meant to happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
right.
There's this thing about divine planning and divine timing, there's something else better coming through. So, that's a little bit of a tricky road, but we want to hold the belief. We don't want to hold the belief that it doesn't work, because it works all the time. We want it to work when we're in the positive mode, and because it's working when we're, no matter what.
I can't speak for any.
Slippery slope. It's working.
Well, sometimes it's not no. Sometimes it's not right now. You know what I mean? I think that.
Well, yeah.
Right? Is that kind of?
No, I know, but that's individual. That's for individual things you're working on. But if you do have this belief that it doesn't work for you, it's going to make it much harder.
Right. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think sometimes even, and I don't know if this is. But sometimes I feel like I have complete belief, and then other times, so it's a spectrum. It's not always that I'm here. You know what I mean? There are times, and even although I think, and on Tuesday's podcast, we talked with Walt and Alex about, things that we've manifested in the past and how those things should really give me kind of solace in the fact that I can continue to do so. But then, when you're in the mix or things are kind of going, sometimes that we forget those things. And I think Tuesday's episode is very important just because sometimes in reflection, we can see, oh, okay, what was I doing in those times? And we talked about, controlling the things that we can control, like diet and like exercise and sleeping and meditation and everything that's in our control. And that helped to kind of clear up and bring that good energy in order to manifest. And I think that sometimes when I am in a doubtful mindset or something, having that reflection on past successes, with the law of attraction really helped to kind of free that up.
Yeah. So then you can soften and say, hey, I've manifested before. I can manifest again.
All right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
what
share something. Go ahead.
I think that's what I was trying to allude to. We all are. I don't think anybody just comes in and is just black and white. All of a sudden, I'm a total believer. I think we all kind of evolve into it. So any given person at any given time is going to have some degree of belief in it, some degree of doubt, and overall, I think people who study it and work with it and practice it and try things out evolve more and more to the point where the belief gets stronger, the doubt gets weaker. I don't know if it ever gets to the point where the belief is 100%, but that's what I tend to see happening. I see
Well,
people growing their belief over time.
this is why I like what I do, because we can just reprogram it.
Just
I
cut
don't have
right
to
to
go
it.
through the
Yeah.
it's working, it's not working, it's working, it's not working. If we want to really just hold it and like, okay, I got that one.
Mhm.
Right.
Then you can maybe trust more in looking for the gifts in whatever struggle might be coming up
Mhm.
as you're going towards this, where, maybe it's supposed to be a little bit off to the right and that perfect thing is right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
It's
sometimes
trust. It
too,
comes down to trust and just, believing that for me, it's God, guides, and spirit are assisting you in all of this.
right. Yeah, I think sometimes, and speaking on that same thing, I think sometimes when we ask for something from the universe or we ask for a blessing, sometimes we expect it to be very easy, and sometimes what we ask for comes with discomfort. You know what I mean? And I don't know, we can kind of go away from what we ask for just because of that discomfort. So, for instance, like pivoting to a whole career path, a whole new career path, right? And you start to get to where you're sacrificing, and maybe money's tight, or maybe things aren't coming, and those are the discomforts that you have to go through. There's no escaping that. You're not going to manifest overnight, or you might, but that's you have to be pretty powerful to do that. But the universe is giving you what you want, in those struggles and in that path. But sometimes we're like, oh, well, this is uncomfortable, and we kind of run back to what we're comfortable with. Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe I should just go back to whatever this was, And I try to stay cognizant of that as well.
That's when you just have to drop back into your heart and like, okay, why did I
Exactly.
make this choice?
Hmm.
Can you unmake it? I doubt it. You want to do this
Right.
thing.
Right.
You probably can't walk away from it.
Right.
So that's
No,
what
yeah, I
drives
think that, yeah, you have a good point there, where I think that's where it switches. So you go from your heart to your head, and that's where that starts to
Yeah.
happen. But you're right. If you drop back into
you.
your
Yeah.
heart, and I think that's really important. It's like, oh man, like, yeah, what's the underlying under all of this? Like, what is it that we started this whole thing for? Or what is it that I want as my outcome? And I think that, again, a lot of self-reflection, and you figure it out. Okay, yeah, you realign with the feeling, or the where your heart is.
Right. I like how you said align with the feeling, because I say if it's for you, I'm sure what drives you in that is that the people who are watching you are getting an escape or whatever. They're going to be in that energy, in that high vibration while they're watching your show.
Right.
And that's what lights you up, most likely, right?
I think, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it with my personality, and I think a lot of it is I like to be liked. If we're
Okay.
being very self-critical and very, honest. But yeah, ultimately, I like bringing that kind of energy into people's lives. Like, even if it's telling jokes in a small group, and people are rolling on the floor laughing, I hit them while they're down. I just keep going until somebody pees their pants, or they can't
Right.
anymore. It's an addiction almost at that point. I get a little fix, and then I
But what are you
I
addicted
have to
to?
have that.
I want you to find what you're addicted to.
Right.
It's not you're addicted to them liking you, is it? Or are you addicted to the result that they're getting? That feeds you.
I'm not. I haven't really explored that
Okay,
that
you gotta
deeply,
look
to
at
be
that.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I know what feeds me is that energy. When it's flowing through, I'm like high, and I know that the people I'm working with are feeling that too, and I want them to feel that like all the time, which of course we
Right.
can't do that, but you know, that's what drives me is helping people to get to have that.
Right.
I get it
Yeah,
too.
I think. Yeah, I think. I mean, even looking back at my life, I've always been the person that I feel responsible for other people's good time. You know what I mean? Like if I go to a party or if I go, like it's kind of not that I think about that like every day or anything like that, but it's just like a common. You know, I'm there and I just that's my role that I've always played, and that's something that gives me a lot of joy. So
So
yeah, that's
I challenge you to look at yourself as a healer.
huh.
Because when you're doing that and you're bringing that energy, that's a high vibration, the result of what you're doing. That's
Right.
healing. I mean, there have been people who have healed cancer by watching funny movies over and over and over and over and over and over again because they
Right.
brought themselves in that high vibration. In fact, that's how I kind of help myself grieve through my sister passing, by watching things that will lift me into this higher energy when I'm feeling so
Yeah.
low.
No,
Yeah.
it's funny you say that too because I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and we kind of talked about our roles in kind of our friendships and our relationships with family and all these things. And I did notice that it's like a lot of, you know, uh, people coming to me for those kinds of vibrations or for help and for, I seem to be that central thing. But then it also came where it's like, hey, sometimes you have to, uh, you know, give to yourself too and ask for help because I think that sometimes we a lot of us want to give and then you look at your own situation and it's like, oh, okay, you need some help too, and I think that's where I'm really working on that as a thing that I challenge or something I want to work on is just being able to ask for help and not being bashful about it. I think that everybody needs help, right?
Oh
And
my
we can't
God.
really go through these things alone. And speaking of the power of eight, right?
Oh my
Having
God.
people,
Yes.
yeah, behind you, just that's that energy. Um, yeah, it's there for you when you may not have it yourself. And so sometimes I see where I kind of lack, and it's like I look around for help, and it's like my family and really those are the things that kind of build me up.
Well,
Friends.
you just kind of proved something again. You didn't even know you did it.
Street magic.
Okay, so right now you just brought up giving and receiving.
Right.
Okay, I just released my video on giving and receiving today before the show.
Oh.
In my meditation group this morning, what was the topic? And it's just
Giving
on
and
the fly,
receiving.
whatever comes up. Giving and
Yeah.
receiving. Yesterday, I watched a video from someone that I like to pay attention to, and it was this person's energy update, which spoke about, he said the same things I said in my energy update that I released like 2 days ago, and he also was talking about giving and receiving, which is the one I released today. So when things, if you ever notice, things happen, it's in the field. You're picking up on
Right.
energy within the field. Now, you had no clue that I was talking about this stuff for a couple of days, but yet here it is showing up for you.
Right.
That's how
Yes.
energy comes together. It was a perfect, thank you, Spirit, because it was a perfect example of that
Yeah.
kind of thing coming together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
You kind of hear things when you need them, or
it's in the
you
field. Yeah.
yeah things come to you when you need them for sure.
And the really big thing about what you said about giving and receiving, yeah, it's so easy for us to give, it's hard to receive. We have to get over that, because if
Yeah.
we can't receive like a compliment, I used to deflect compliments left and right. I couldn't take them in. Or you can't receive, someone asks you to do them a favor, you put out $20 for them on the way to their house because they just needed this thing, and then they want to give it back to you. You're like, oh, no, no, no.
Right.
If you can't receive the money back for the favor the guy asked you for, like, these are just examples, right? How can you receive from the universe?
Right.
If you
Good
can't
point.
receive simple little things in your life,
Yeah.
how can you receive these things you want to manifest? So that's really important to look at and pay attention to. When are you not allowing yourself? And even when we're talking about this in the class I did this morning, somebody said something to one of the girls, and immediately she deflected it. I'm like, are you going to take that compliment or are you going to reflect it? And she's like, oh my God, I didn't even know I did it. Right?
Yeah. No, that's very true. Compliments I love, so keep those.
You can
coming.
take them in. All right.
I can take those for sure. No, but it's the help that I'm really working on. But again, that's all, that's all growth and moving forward in this, in this journey.
Well, you are worthy of receiving help from others.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it.
So you want to learn how to muscle test? So that
let's do it.
Because like next week, I would love it if whoever decides to join live, even if it's in the replay, if people would test themselves for the different beliefs.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Walt knows how to do it because I've done a session with him before. Mm-hmm. You remember, right, Walt?
Oh, I remember.
Okay, there's 3 ways to muscle. And muscle testing, like, chiropractors do it. They push on your arm to see if you're weak or strong. Like your body will tell you, your energy system will tell you what's going on. So there's a couple of ways to do it. I can see myself small in the corner. Okay, so you make a loop, right? 2 loops, and one stays closed and one goes into the other. So decide which hand, like I'm going to hold my one hand tight, and this one's going to be the one that I pull with. Okay, so you want to hold it tight, but not too tight. Now we're going to see how this works with you guys. In fact, for men, I usually like to go to the pinky.
Okay.
Okay, it's a little weaker, right? So holding this tight and pulling and you're going to close your eyes. You're going to say yes and hold your fingers tight and see if you can keep from pulling your fingers out. So eyes closed, say yes.
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 Okay, Carlos lost it. You okay?
So
Use this. Go back to this finger. You got to get the feeling from it. It takes a few times. So hold tight. Okay, so just do it right now. Can you hold tight so you don't pull it through without killing it? Okay.
Yeah.
So holding it tight, eyes closed, say yes.
Yes.
And pull. Yeah, don't jerky pull it, just pull it. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Now say hold it tight and now say no and pull. See if you can pull. No. And pull.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, could you feel a difference?
Yeah.
Carlos?
I think so. I think the no was easier than the yes.
The other way to do it is, again, to hold tight and take 2 fingers. Where's the camera? Like a pry bar. So you're going to put your 2 fingers through. So I would hold tight and I would say yes. And I'm trying, but I can't break it. Or I could say no. And then I could break it. Yes is strong. No, I can break. So say yes, say it out loud. And then say no and break.
No. Yeah.
You could
so
break
no
it.
Broke through. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes,
so now to double test. And the third way to do it, we won't do it now, is you stand up and you just center yourself and you close your eyes. You say yes. And normally a yes, people just kind of move forward. Then you center yourself and you say no. And normally a no goes back. Now, I've had people who go sideways a little bit, but I would test a bunch of different ways. If it's always consistent, we know, okay, that person goes sideways. But normally it's forward and back. If you're ever not sure with the fingers, that's my fail-safe. I'll just stand up, center myself, and I'm like, I'll say the phrase, the belief or whatever, and close my eyes, and I'll see which way, yes or no. Okay, so being that you can do the pry bar, okay, do it again.
That's probably the easiest one for me.
Okay, and Walt, do whatever you like. Okay, so close your eyes now. So Carlos, you're going to say my name is Carlos. Walt, you're going to say my name is Walt. Okay. And then see if you can break it.
My name is Walt.
My name is Carlos.
Is it tight?
Yeah.
Okay, so now say my name is Joe.
My name is Joe.
My name is Joe.
Oops, and there it goes.
That was really weird. Oh, that was very odd. Yeah, sorry. I didn't.
It broke, right? Okay.
It's funny too. Carlos, even when I say the thing that isn't true, I find myself trying to hold it, just try to keep it. I can't keep it.
And it doesn't. Yeah.
So you're wearing your New York hat today, but you're living in California, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, and you're in Connecticut. So say I live in California. You know. I live in Connecticut.
I live in Connecticut. That's true.
Is it tight? Okay, so both of you could say I live in no, don't say New York for Carlos because you did. Say I live in Ohio.
I live in Ohio. Yeah,
I
that's
live in
slipping right
Ohio.
out.
Did you get a no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All
sorry.
right.
I'm not even putting it to the camera so the viewers can see.
That's okay, as long
But
as you know.
yeah.
Yeah, so it might help the viewers to see that too. So
Right.
now I want you both to close your eyes, get yourself ready, okay? And you're both going to say, I am a healer.
I am a
I'm a
healer.
healer.
See if you can break it.
Oh.
Ooh, I'm
You got a
sliding.
no?
I'm sliding a
Yeah.
little bit.
You both got a no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
Okay, so say it this way. Do it again
Uh,
and say, hold tight, say, I have been a healer.
I have
I
been
have
a healer.
Oh, that's a yes.
That's holding better. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I know that you both have been healers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you can go in and out of that too, right? Like if
But
I
your
check
belief
in 2
is,
months, you can
if you're,
probably
yeah, because you're not right now a healer, so you don't have
right.
the belief that you are a healer, because you might be thinking only this timeline, right?
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing too. You got to make sure you ask, because it's only a yes or a no. So
Right.
sometimes, like if ever use a pendulum, if I
Yeah.
ask my pendulum a question that can't be answered with a clear yes or no, it just like shakes. It's like, I don't know the question. I don't understand.
Right.
But if I phrase it to where it can only be a yes or a no, then I'll either get my yes or my no, you know?
Who
Same
knew that
kind
you
of
could
thing.
make a pendulum nervous? That's pretty cool.
Well, I don't know. That's the way I interpret it, because it starts bouncing.
That's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Hey, Linda, I
No,
want to ask you,
because
I didn't want to interrupt with this, and I want to continue with this, but I've got this question that's been hanging on for quite some time. I wanted to ask. Back when we were talking more about the power of eight and announcing that, inviting people. And by the way, if you haven't volunteered, you want to volunteer, type something into the comments or send them some message or whatever. By all means, do that, because we do want to get a group together for next Friday. But you'd mentioned when I talked about how in the power of eight, they get a group of 7 or 8 people together, and the concentrated effort, they all concentrate their energy in order to heal somebody or produce some sort of result. And you mentioned kind of in passing that you don't think it requires a group. You think an individual could be just as powerful as a group. I wanted you to elaborate on that a little bit, because that kind of goes against the grain of what most people would think. If you have more people together, it's going to be more powerful. But you're saying no. I'd like to know more about that.
you know what? If you just tune, I mean, you're not. When I do healings, I'm not the one doing the healing. I'm channeling the healing. So an individual can channel that healing just as well as a group can channel that healing, in my opinion. But being that we are human, well, it's just that when a bunch of people are all channeling that energy together, it just magnifies. So it feels maybe like it has more potential, but I don't think you need that.
Oh,
I
I
think if
see.
someone really fully believes they're holding that God energy coming through them, who's more powerful?
Okay, I get it now. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying.
What about? I have a question because we talk about limiting beliefs. Like, what if you're in a group and there are limiting beliefs in that group? Is the group kind of overcoming those as a group? Is that why maybe it's better as a group? Because you're saying that somebody that has
No,
that
you know what?
belief. But what if it's a bunch of people that have half belief? Would that be better in a group than maybe solo?
Well, some will have the belief and some won't have the belief. That needs to be flipped, at least when I'm working in a group. But always with every belief, I also do downloads will come to me. And so if you had the belief that law of attraction works for me and the test as a no, then probably I'll be doing some downloads of would you like to know what it feels like to know that law of attraction is always working for you? Because if you don't know what that feels like, if your body doesn't know how to hold that, then it needs to be downloaded with how to hold that. So energy, and it's not me. I'm just gonna channel whatever wants to come through. Will be given to you, so it can enhance what you already know by getting maybe pieces that you don't have. But there was another part to your question. I forgot how you said that I wanted to address.
Well, just kind of like, is that why maybe, being in a group is more powerful because now you have the power of the group that will maybe overcome some individuals' limiting beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that it's just a bigger support group, more people holding the energy together, which is kind of magnifying it.
Right.
So instead of one person channeling this energy, it's now coming through all of them at the same time. So it just magnifies. It makes it go to more exponential levels, I suppose.
Right.
But I think what I was trying to say for Walt is, I think one person can be just as effective. Don't know that anybody believes that they can or not. I don't know, but why not? Anything's possible. The other part of this whole thing is that everything's a mirror. Whatever you're experiencing is somehow running. You have a program somehow and running within you to allow it to experience in front of you, even if you're not directly involved, but it's happening. It's in your awareness. It's within you too, because the outer reflects the inner always. So I like, there's a teacher of Ho'oponopono, Dr. Hugh Lynn, and he phrases something really great. You know what he says that helps me to anyway totally get it? Because you ever notice a problem or see a problem? You're always there. You're there. Otherwise you know nothing about it, right? If it comes into your awareness and you're there, it's a part of you. So it's a program. He calls it data. Like for me, it's subconscious programming. It's all something within us. So just like the Matrix, they plug in through the movie. Well, who's to say that this isn't that?
Yeah.
To some degree.
Right. No, I believe that. I think I have a friend of mine who always says things like that, and he'll just stop me, right? Like, well, we'll be walking around, and he'll say, "Hey, Carlos, you know how I know you're supposed to be here?" And I'll say, "How?" And he'll say, "Because you are."
Yeah.
And that'll just remind me. No, and it's funny. We'll play, like that with each other, but that's kind of a reminder to to each other that not to live life intentionally, right? To not take anything for granted. So it's like, why are we here? Like, oh, we ran into so and so. Well, why is that? And just kind of, and not that you have to really scrutinize everything, but just kind of be aware and just have that awareness. And hey, I met this person and they, know this, or they like to do that, or why did I meet this person? I feel like everybody I meet, there's a specific reason, and later I find it out. And sometimes it's not for me. Sometimes it's because it's for them. And I think a lot of times we look at stuff like, oh, what's the reason? It's selfish. Is it selfish? Like, oh, what's this supposed to do for me? Or what, but sometimes people are brought into our life for us to help them out, and I think that's also important to kind of realize.
I think we kind of did a show on that, right, Walt? It was either maybe the Matrix show or something.
Well, I'm not sure if we did a show on the Matrix, but we talked quite extensively about the Matrix. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just how everything's a reflection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it's no matter what it is, like I don't want to go into that again, but I gave the example of my husband's like, yeah, that guy cut me off. He's an asshole. I'm not an asshole. I'm considerate. But there's a program that it wouldn't have shown up if there isn't something of that somewhere within you. So maybe is it coming up so you can release it and heal it? It's you can get really deep with this stuff. But and now he gets it. And he understands that. But like when I first was trying to explain that to him like a couple of years ago, he's like, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. You can tell me this other stuff, but I'm not taking that one in.
No, it's true though. Cause it's just how you react to stuff. Like, I've had times where I had a coworker be super rude to me or something. And I could, again, the reflection, if I had that energy in my heart to, attack back and say something negative, then that's something, because that's a reflection of what I'm holding in, right? But I think, in reacting, you find a way. It's like, well, I would always think, I wonder what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like, well, hey, they're being super rude. I wonder what's happening with them. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder what's going on with them, because I don't think that people are explicitly rude in general. Just but so that's kind of the thought that I gave him. But that's just because of the place where I was at, right? And so that's very. Yeah, I mean, very telling.
I have to say, I'm an Italian girl. I don't look Italian because I'm very fair, but I am. And from New York, New Jersey area, So, I mean, I used to hunt them down. I'd follow my car in the parking lot and I'd box them in. I mean, I was stupid in the way that like a road rage kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm like the opposite side, like you just said. I'm like, you know what? That it could be a young kid just learning to drive. It could be some old lady who's not so with it anymore. It could be that they've got a kid bleeding in the car and they're going, we don't know what's going on for them and why they're acting that way. So what I do immediately now is I just send them love. Instead of hunting them down and wanting to like really knock them out, I'm like sending them love. It's like, and people who knew me then, like even my son, he's like, I can't believe it. He remembers, like I think he was like 8 or 10. He'll say, like, you used to never curse, but then all of a sudden you're cursing at everybody on the road, and like he saw it. Like I flipped a switch. Like maybe in my mind I'm like, he's freaking old enough now. You know, I don't know, but now I don't do that, and I try not to use that kind of language that much anymore because it goes into your body. Those words aren't good for your body as you're saying them, right?
Right.
They feel good though sometimes when you say them.
Well, they feel. I'm not sure they feel good. They feel better than what you felt. That I could buy into, but they don't necessarily feel good.
Sometimes a little rant really lets you let some energy out, and you're like, okay, I feel better now. But meanwhile, those words do impress into your energy, right?
Yeah, I challenge people, instead of getting road rage, what me and my good friend JJ do when we're driving around is we just start telling jokes.
See, there's the healer again.
Right. Oh, I got to cut you off. Oh, well, look at his car. Look at the car he's driving. Oh, look at he has this, or look at his license plate, or we just started telling jokes and try to get out of that energy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
By the way,
that's road rage. Road rage is dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah, it's stupid.
You mentioned a moment ago about how the energy of just if somebody's in your life, they're supposed to be in your life, that kind of thing. I've been experiencing that directly in the way that I've been realigning the co-hosts in the podcast, particularly since Wendy Dillard decided to go off on her own and brought Carlos and Alex and some others in. And when it came to Fridays, I knew I wanted to get a third person in, both with you and with Tom in the morning. And I wasn't really sure who to bring in where, but I just kind of went with what made sense to me at the moment, which was to have Carlos come in the afternoon, probably because he's on the West Coast and morning show wouldn't work for something like that, and to have Alex come in the morning. And both have worked out impeccably. Absolutely beautifully. I mean, you took completely to Carlos. You're telling him how he gets all this stuff, and you're giving him all this advice. I mean, the two of you have this big dynamic going on. The same thing happened this morning with Alex and Tom, who are, in many ways, very, very different people. But the two of them together, I mean, Tom was laying out the subject, and Alex was like totally engaged and engrossed in what he's talking about and so forth. I'm thinking, wow, this couldn't have worked out better. Yeah, now, did I intend that? I didn't intend that. I was just kind of going with what seemed right, but it all just fit.
You did. Yeah, you did. You intended the result.
You tapped into your psychic abilities.
Well, yes.
I'm telling you, Walt, you just knew. It just was there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the bigger point is like you manifest what you're experiencing, what you're seeing is the how it's being created, right? And so, the what is, hey, I want 10,000 followers. I really want this to, be successful. I want to, all the things that you've kind of goaled in your mind and that you're trying to manifest. I feel like, and now you're seeing those pieces start to drop in place. I talked about this again on Tuesday when I got this job and all these things started to fall in place. And that's kind of, I would say, what you're experiencing is like, hey, this worked out because it's supposed to work out, right? All these things are kind of moving you towards that ultimate thing that you want.
Yeah, and you just knew, and you were tapped in to the guidance that's coming through you, which is the spirit helpers we have. They're there.
Right.
So you were open to receive.
Mm-hmm. No, I buy it. I think it's true.
You don't have to be aware of it. Like, it's not like a mechanic where like, oh, I'm receiving a message from spirit right now, and this is what I'm going to put into my life. No, we just live life.
Thank
But we
goodness,
have
because I
this
can't do that yet. I
guidance.
haven't got that part down yet. But I agree. That's exactly what was
Oh,
You
happening.
just did it.
I was going with
yeah.
Well, you
impulse.
just did it.
See, yeah, so that's something that I sometimes I think about it too much, but I see it, so it's very hard for me not to. You know, when you talk about this, and you know maybe what I was going through when I saw this Facebook thing, and hey, this guy's looking for comedians to help host, and hey, it's on the law of attraction. I love the law of attraction. This is perfect. And then you get lined up with you guys, and honestly, just since I've been speaking out about it, because I talked about this to about the law of attraction to my dad and to my sister and to my brother and a friend here too. But I don't talk about it that often. And now just being in this environment and now just seeing the benefit of that in directly in my life already. And it's just so yeah, it's exactly as it should be.
So could you do I don't know how you do your comedy, but can you do comedy and add that to it? And you're like the aware comic, it brings in all
A
this
lot.
out there
I
stuff.
probably could. Yeah, I have to. That's why I honestly I like these conversations because again I'm reaffirming things that I kind of know in my heart, and so I talk about them to my heart. But that's the thing is when you talked about it already. It's like healers wanting to be quiet. It's like for me it's because I don't know them for a fact because they are stuff from my heart. Like I speak to them with people that I connect with in that way, but not maybe necessarily out loud. And so this is kind of helping me with that as well, and just to learn more of the structure or more of the hey, this is how these things work, and so now I can match those things up with kind of what I know and be able to speak to them.
It's just called confirmation, but
Right.
you don't need it. You like
Right.
it.
Yeah.
You don't need it. So just trust yourself. I mean,
Right.
I think I've started, actually, my psychic nature has expanded more since I finally started to just let it be and stop looking for confirmation or second guessing it. Because that just gets in the way, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
It's true.
Yeah. But
Yep.
you know what? It's easier when you get a bunch of confirmation. You're like, oh, I had this thought pop in my head and it meant something to that person. I guess I did tap in,
Right.
So, it does help. It gives you confidence, right? The more you
Absolutely,
hear
it
the
does.
synchronicities and you see something and it's like, yeah, I already knew that. Okay, I do know something.
Yeah. I was actually listening to T.D. Jakes. I don't know if you know who that is. A pastor out of he was one of these mega churches out of Dallas. But I really like listening. He makes a lot of good points. And something he was talking about the other day was kind of similar to this. What I had talked about earlier, whereas you want to manifest this dream, and it's easier to kind of go back to the comfort, right? And so he talks about a lot. Now I'm losing my train of thought. That's what I'm trying to get into this. It's about manifesting. Oh, it left
Well, we
me.
were talking
I
about
apologize.
That's okay. We were talking about needing confirmation or looking for confirmation. It just helps you have the more confidence that this is right or I did know this.
Right. And then he basically just talks about it's easy to make a decision for what your heart is telling you or what you feel God is telling you in your heart when you're not hungry, like you're not going through something, right? But it's when you're running out of money and you have your car's got repossessed and it's like all these things. It's like, well, that's really a time when you're tested. Is like, are you going to now, divert from your path because of this hunger of this need, or are you going to trust? And it's like that's an immense amount of trust, and that really is like the a lot of times we have those times in our life. It's where it's like you have to jump, or you kind of you take those steps back and you take the stairs. So so I mean that's for me something that's that I've been kind of focused on as well.
Yeah, me too.
Try to make decisions with the heart instead of necessarily with the head. I mean, obviously there's things that you have to be logical about and take care of, but
that you do have this support out there. I mean, I couldn't even say
Right.
the word God until a few years ago because I was
Right.
like forced to religion, and I pushed it away. Now I
Right.
know it in a
Same.
whole different way. And I think for me, I've had a bunch of challenges just so that I can actually really finally know and allow that support to come through. And you got to just give it up. You know, you got to just
Right.
trust. Yeah.
Right.
That's hard. You got to just take that leap and let go of all the things you think you could do. Because sometimes those things, it's just resistance. You're just making it
Yeah.
hard.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Just pushing it.
Well, I've been letting this go even though we're about 5 minutes over because that was a great segment.
Oh.
I didn't want to interrupt that one. But I do want to get in a couple of notes. First of all, if you weren't here for the beginning of the podcast, we are inviting people to volunteer if you're interested in doing. We're going to do a little experiment in next week's show at this time. We're going to do like a group of a Power of 8 group, although we're going to modify it along the ways that Linda was describing. Linda, why don't you kind of like reiterate what you had in mind so that people know what they'd be volunteering for?
Well, instead of like focusing on one thing or one person to send healing to, which we can all do, and that's, I mean, even those Facebook prayers, people say send prayers, that's group energy coming together for that
Right.
person who's needing that prayer. But what I thought would be great to do is just test a bunch of different beliefs, and you can test them like we were doing
With the muscle
earlier with
testing.
muscle testing, so you know if you have it or not. And then I'll do a bunch of clearing. Then you can retest them at the end, see if they flipped. They
But good.
usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone who's interested in doing that, if first of all, if you're listening to either the live podcast or the replay in the Facebook group, The Law of Attraction Changed My Life, just post something there and we'll see that. If you're one of our regular podcast subscribers, just send a note to us. Send it through the website, through the contact form. You can just send an email to me. My email is walt@loatoday.net. Send us a tweet. Send us a Facebook message of some kind. Send us a messenger message, Instagram, whatever you want. And just let us know that you'd like to be a part of it. And then we'll make sure to invite you and tell you how you can become directly involved in what we're doing. So that'll be about this book, The Power of 8. That's what we're really drawing it from. And we're going to take it to like a new dimension for next week. So something to look forward to. And that's a bit. Oh, also, I want to make sure, I don't know if I said it earlier, but if you're not yet a subscriber, become a subscriber. The instructions are in the descriptions that show up all over the place for where we're putting up this podcast. And we're also going to switch things around to make it easier on the homepage of the website. So you can just go to loatoday.net and you'll have subscribe buttons right there. And be sure also to keep sharing out there because the sharing is how more people find out about where to get their daily dose of happy. Linda, Carlos, this has been great. This has been as good as usual. I mean, this is our second show as a threesome. And I mean, we're already like, we're like this. Now it's just a question of where it's going to go from here. It's going to be good. But no, thanks for doing the show. And guys, have a great weekend and such.
All right. Great,
Absolutely.
guys. See you.
You too.
Bye.
All right. And we'll see you all
Happy
next
Friday.
time. See you all next time here on LOA Today.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Do you guys, I'm curious, do you guys know anything about divine
The
numerology?
broadcast of Facebook Live has stopped.
There you go.
Recording has stopped.
There, now we're off.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know it was going to give me a verbal cue there.
Yeah.
But no, I noticed that because like I feel like when I'm very clear and when I'm manifesting easily, I see a lot of these like divine or these they call angel numbers, the 1111s, the 22222s, the 444s.
A lot of
555s,
people report
all
that.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that all the time on
But
the Facebook
that-
groups.
That's
all the
how
time.
that's how I can kind of tell where I'm at in like I'm saying like I will see 4 ones probably like 12 times in a day, every day, like and just that when I'm very high up on that on that spectrum, and then other times like I don't ever see.
Yeah, but notice, even in your dips, notice the numbers because those numbers will have a message too.
Right.
You know, the 111s, 222s, 333s, they carry those messages we love to get all the time. But all those other numbers have messages too.
Huh.
Like there's one really good website. I think it's called Sacred Scribes. That has like from 1 to 9999 the meanings of the numbers. Let me see if I have it here. No, I haven't used it.
Yeah, I
in a
was just
long time.
curious because I'm like, yeah, I haven't heard anybody talk about that, but that's something that I just kind of noticed myself.
Yeah. Listen, they're going to talk to you in all different ways. Any synchronicities, insects, animals. You're like, well, that's weird.
Animals,
I never see a fox. And then there's a fox. Okay, look up the meaning for fox, you know?
Yeah, dogs that are like grumpy. So I walk dogs to have a little income and stuff on the side. And owners will tell me, oh, yeah, they're very stubborn or they don't like pee or anything that's wrong with these dogs. And I go and we start and they walk right next to me. And they, you know, it's somebody told me that it's like when you live with no judgment or less judgment, that your animals and other living things communicate with you, and they're very free. So like a bird will like land on your arm, or you know, so those kinds of things and that's why you see children a lot of times also with they get along with animals very well because they don't have that judgment or that you know.
I get that a lot with when we visit people who have cats. Again, the people will say something like, "Oh, no, that be careful. He tends to scratch people and so forth. He's got a foul disposition or whatever." And then the cat comes up and rubs up against my leg and is looking to get petted, and I didn't do anything. I just sat there, right? Well, I think it's the same kind of thing of what you just said. No judgment, no predetermined pattern going on. So they just warm up to you.
Doreen Virtue has a little book. It's like a pocket book of angel numbers 101.
Okay.
And it just gives you a little brief thing for each number, and you can even get it on your phone, you know. Angel Numbers 101.
Angel Numbers 101.
Oh, actually, you know what? That app might not work with the newer updated things, but anyway, you can get the book anywhere. Yeah. But there is a website. It's called, because I just looked it up, Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers.blogspot.com. And she goes into much more detail, but you'll always get what you need out of that. I mean, I've gone through times where things were really tough, and you'd wake up and the clock would have some number on it. I'm like, okay, let me look it up, and it was like, okay, it gave me some relief, you know, like whatever was in that message, and it wasn't one of the 333s when you have all your
aligned, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah,
it was great.
This platform seems to be good.
It seems to be working very well. I've actually told the Zoom people, bye-bye, I'm done with you. Because I like the fact that when we get people who want to come up on stage, it's going to be a lot easier to bring them up with this than with the other one. That's the big one. And plus...
So actually so you can have them just join the link and
just give them the link and they're connected right in, just like we are. So it doesn't require any special invitations like the other one did.
You know what? Why don't you do an opt-in, make up an opt-in, like some kind of thing where, whatever you want to call, the LOA today, like you said you were going to do it, right? Make up some kind of cool graphic and something enticing, and so they can opt in and they'll just have automatic notifications so they can link in whenever they want. Then you have the list. It's like you have an email list of all these people, and then you have that link go out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe once a week. It's the same link all the time. Oh, because people don't always hold everything. So you can do a reminder in the beginning of the week. Make sure to use your special link to join in on any of these calls during this coming week. This is what we kind of have on the roster. I see what you're doing.
Oh, okay. I got what you're saying. Yeah. So basically build a mailing list.
We can do that on the Instagram too. So what I want to do on the Instagram is the really good clips of these shows, of the video. We kind of clip them. We put them in the Instagram, and then for the full, whatever, and then we put the link, and so people can kind of, I liked what they were talking about, so let me go check that out.
But in Instagram, you can only have a clickable link in your profile, right?
Right. Yeah. That's not place you can put a link.
So that'll take them to the loatoday.net so that they can go and subscribe to either.
Right.
That way, I'm trying to get as like stream from there to and then but once we get to a certain amount of subscribers, then we can have links straight on each of the things and on the stories and all that. So,
they do allow it?
That's kind of after you get to a certain number of people.
I didn't know that.
I'm sure that because this is a this is a big group, and once I have the Instagram to a place where it looks really good, all 12 of us should be sharing it, and I feel like it'll grow pretty rapidly then.
Well, you can
And
still
just
put the
have
link.
clips and everything.
You can still put the link. You just can't click it. They just have to copy it out.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means you got to keep
we
it
can
simple
share all
because you can't
that.
even you can't even highlight it. That's the thing I discovered. So it has to be typable.
Right. And then just as we have the power of 8, sign up, and we can have just like a post, and then people can kind of so all these things kind of tying together here.
You can always do a bit.ly link, for those long links that have like a gazillion stuff in,
Oh yeah, to shorten it up.
To shorten it up. Yeah.
But even a bit.ly is a problem
All right,
on an Instagram though, because Instagram you can't copy it. You have to type it.
You can't copy. You
No.
can't even copy.
There's ways around. There's ways around it.
Are there?
Oops.
See, that's why.
Carlos,
That's why we have an expert here. This is
Carlos
good.
is on it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on it, Carlos, because I have I don't know, I've got resistance to Instagram. I'm trying to get over it.
I have huge resistance.
Really?
Although I tried to start breaking that. Now that I knew that you were coming on board, I started feeling a little more relaxed about it. So I just posted a little quick video the other day just to kind of break my own ice.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I'll be like once I get like a cadence. I want to get like a program that can schedule posts also, so that you guys can send in little videos and be like, hey, make sure you check out the podcast on Tuesday, blah blah blah, and then we can just kind of post those things.
I think you can do it from Buffer now, because a friend of mine who works on social media stuff told me that, because normally you have to go from your phone. That's why I didn't like Instagram, because that to me is a hassle.
There's a program called Hootsuite that I've used in the past, as a social media marketing or whatever, to kind of schedule posts and you can kind of so you don't have to be in there every day. You kind of go in there, you do your work, knock out for an hour, and then it makes it more manageable that way.
But Buffer is like that too, but you used to not be able to do your Instagram from there. It would tell you to your phone, you have a post ready to go. You still had to do it from your phone. But I think now there's a workaround that. So I don't know what Hootsuite, if they worked around it too.
Yeah, Hootsuite's direct, just a post.
Right to Instagram? Okay.
Yep. So, updates coming. So
I'll be looking for it.
I'll, look forward to next week. All right. I have to get out of here, but I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.